Hello and welcome to a new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Empoleon with the buffed and also new Steel Wing in the Open Master League. And yesterday we're going to take a look at another starter Pokemon. It's actually now 3 videos in a row for starter Pokemon in the Open Master League. And honestly, Empoleon was a lot of fun. This thing was definitely a lot of fun to play. We're running Flash Cannon here, by the way, not Drill Peck. There is basically 0 targets for Drill Peck in this current meta. For Flash Cannon there are quite a few targets, so Flash Cannon on this, it's not a great move at all. They completely nerfed Flash Cannon because of the Registeel, but it doesn't matter, we can still knock out the Primarina in this first game here. And I have to say, there is going to be a game here today where I completely destroy a fellow content creator, so stay tuned for this one. Empoleon completely destroyed him, we're gonna see that later. But yeah, let's move on here. We're going to have a Dialga matchup against us. We sadly just barely miss out on it, and now we can go into our own Dialga and the opponent decides to forfeit. Moving on, let's find out what we can do here next. We're going to have a Kyogre in lead. This seems kind of fine. It comes again a Primarina. And honestly, there are some games where I just misplayed because I just did not really play it well, to be fair. Here we're going to be able to still go for one Flash Cannon against the opponent. The opponent is going to let this move go through, and so we should be able to realign. Disarming Voice should not be enough to knock us out, so let's find out here. Yeah, it is not, and so we can go for the full farm down, realign our Pokemon, and we see what they're going to have in the back next. It is going to be the Kyogre, and I make a huge mistake here. I make a huge mistake, and I don't really know why I did this. Literally have no idea why I did this, because if they have a Kyogre in the lead, it's very likely to be double Charm or double Fairy, and yes, it is. And so, yeah, I don't know why I did this. Literally does not make sense. I could have went to my Dialga instead, which would have made some sense at least, but this does not make any sense at all. So this was a huge misplay on my part, and this is going to cost me the game. I was actually thinking at this point, what am I doing? This is so silly for me to go into the Dragonite right now. Could have just let my Empoleon go down. This would have been the best play that I could have done, most likely. But it is what it is. Dialga is not going to be able to win this game anymore. I'm still going to try my best here, but we see already that we don't do enough damage, and so I just decided to forfeit this one, especially after they got the boost there as well. Next opponent, we're going to have a Dialga in the lead. What do you do here? You kind of want to stay in for a little bit, try to go up to a superpower, and the opponent catches the move, which is kind of wild, because usually what I do, and which you're most likely going to see in this video as well, because lead happened quite often, I decided to go for the Dragon Claw instead as a bait, but this time around the opponent was actually able to catch the move, which was really annoying, as now they can go for their own charge move. It's going to be a Side Strike as well, which is a little bit annoying for me, as I can now go for one Iron Head. This is hopefully going to take the knockout, but it's still going to be a very tough match to come back from, and see what the opponent going to go into next. It is going to be most likely their own Dialga, I would imagine. It is, and yeah, in general, you're going to see, of course, a little bit more spicier content on my channel now for the Open Master League, because I feel like a lot of people are not really interested in the crazy meta stuff right now anyway, because it is early on into the season. But here, the opponent makes a great catch. This time around, at least, I will be able to hit the right move, which is going to be that Iron Head, and I can swap into my Empoleon. And now we can see what Empoleon can do here, because we can actually still take a move from him. Close combat is not enough to knock us out. Same goes, by the way, for Zacian as well. It does not one-shot us, and so the opponent still has 2 shields, and they have to shield up now the Hydro Cannons from our Empoleon, which is absolutely funny. But like this, we can maybe reach another one, barely missing out on it, but they're forced to go for the Roar of Time in order to knock me out, and so this is going to leave them short for getting to another move, and so we will be able to just farm them down with our Dragonite and win this game. But yeah, in general, all those spicier Pokemon as well that are non-legendary, going to be very interesting, most likely very good in the upcoming Master League Premier meta, where legendaries are not allowed, and so I would imagine that Empoleon has quite a lot of play there, because Pokemon like Mamoswine going to be very good, or Pokemon like Jonkus is going to be everywhere, Primarina going to be everywhere, and so I feel like Empoleon going to be a Pokemon that you kind of want to have for that meta. It's only going to be available for 1 week though at the end of the season, so definitely not really ideal for that reason, but otherwise it's definitely very cool. Here we're going to see, by the way, Zacian against us. I decided to go for the full farm down here. Use no shield here actually for the second one, because it's Wild Charge and Play Rough. Very likely that they're going to have another Fairy type in the back, but what am I supposed to do really here? It's going to be a little bit tricky. They're going to go into the Kyogre, but it's very likely for them to run the Xerneas in the back. And so I decided to go for my charge move here. Roar of Time is coming through. We see the Xerneas coming in as well. I kind of tried to overfarm, hope that they're going to go for something like a close combat or whatever. in comes a charge move. It is going to be that Moonblast, which is really annoying. We can try to go for the Iron Head, and I actually hope that they let this move go through, because my play now would be to try to catch a close combat, but actually, never mind, because they can just go for the full farm down. It doesn't really matter, honestly. Now, if I actually survive this move, I might be able to reach another charge move and get the final shield, but I don't survive it, and so, sadly, we're going to lose this game here. Very close though. Maybe if I played it a little bit differently, there was a win con, but it is what it is. Let's move on to the next opponent. And yes, this is going to be the battle that everyone has waited for. We're going to see a Landorus in the lead. This is going to be a very neutral lead, not ideal for either side. They have to go for Stone Edge in order to knock me out. Their fast move is double resisted, while I just do neutral damage the entire time. Over the long period, like we should be coming on top, I think, with our Dragonite, but we will find out shortly. They're gonna go for the Stone Edge, Fine Force, we can use a shield, and we can see that they swap out into a Kyurem. Kyurem gets completely obliterated by our little penguin in the back here, as he can resist every move, double resist Glaciate, so they're forced to go ahead and go for the Dragon Claw now, which is absolutely hilarious. Dragon Claw coming through, not doing really any damage, and we have now 2 Hydro Cannons stored. In comes the Landorus, we can go for the first Hydro Cannon, forcing with that, the shield, which is kind of wild. So I imagine that they might be very weak against us in the back, and so I decided to use a shield here. This is kind of unnecessary, but I kind of really want to do this just because I wanted to have a sweep maybe with Empoleon, which would be so hilarious in this kind of meta. And in the back, we're going to encounter is a Root. And because I want to win this with our Empoleon, I decided to try to catch a move here onto my Dragonite. Did not work out, but what we're going to see here as well, the opponent is going to decide to go ahead and go for the Dark Pulse, which is not enough, and hopefully they're going to go straight for the next one. I think they did, and so I decided to undercharge it. This is, of course, I would have been able to knock them out here, but this is, of course, to try to get a triple kill with Empoleon here to just completely obliterate the opponent with a little penguin, and Flash Cannon is coming through, going to be able to knock them out. Good game there, of course, but that was kinda hilarious. Best game for Empoleon for sure. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have a Mewtwo in the lead. A lead that I can kind of take. I think it's kind of decent for us actually to face it here. The thing that I kind of want to try to do here is I want to try to catch a Size Strike onto my Steel-type Pokemon in the back. You kind of want to swap out eventually. Here they're going to go straight for the Charge move after 7. This could be an Ice Beam, and so I decide to use a Shield. They're going to go for the Size Strike. I'm going to try to catch the next one here. Does it work out? It does work out, which is great for me. And so this should be hopefully just the Size Strike. It is a Shadow Ball. That is kind of mad, and so this is going to be a very tricky one now, as the opponent goes into their own Dialga. I can go for an Iron Head, but this is like a little bit annoying because they don't have to shield anything here, and they don't decide to shield here as well, which is smart by them. So I am in a tough spot now. I'm forced to go into my Empoleon and take a move most likely. Like all the moves are going to be resisted here, so that's going to be great for me, but still like a Roar of Time, going to do a ton of damage. I can still reach another charge move here. But we have to hope that there's something in the back that we can still deal with our Dragonite. They're going to let this move go through. It is going to be in the back their own Dragonite. We have some energy advantage. There's actually one thing that I might be able to do, but it's going to be tough. If the opponent is going to see Peter on the second charge move, we would be fine. They don't. And so this game is basically over at this point. Sadly, I don't have enough energy on my Empoleon to get to another Hydro Cannon, which would maybe be enough already at this point. After a few, my Dragon Breath should be kind of fine, but as you can see, they can just use another shield, and so they're going to be able to just go for a superpower and knock me out, or even a Dragon Claw is enough from this range for sure. So a good game there, still a very close one, but let's move on to the next opponent. Dragonite against Groudon. Literally exactly the matchup that we want to face with this team. In comes the Mewtwo, and you kind of want to swap out eventually here, especially with the kind of team that we have. So I decided to go for a Dragon Claw, just trying to chip them a little bit, but they decided to go for a shield and try to catch a move, and as you can see, that worked out very well for us, as they decided to go for the Shadow Ball, showcasing at least immediately that they don't run the move Focus Blast, which is great for us, as we can now take the next move again here. Shadow Ball is coming through, totally fine for me. We're gonna see that we can just go for our Iron Head, and this should force a shield or knock them out, both of which is going to be fine for me. We're going to be able to realign, which is great, as now Groudon has basically nowhere to go. We try to reach for the Iron Head here. We actually still reach the Iron Head, which is going to do some decent damage. They're going to let this move go through for sure, as they know that the Groudon is going to face off against my Dragonite fairly soon, and so we're going to completely hardwall them there. Issue is that they're going to have in the back a Zacian. And you might think, oh, you can just go for one shield and you're going to be fine. I'm fairly certain that they're going to just outspeed me here the entire time. So what I decided to do is I just going to sacrifice my Empoleon. As said before, I looked it up before I actually did those battles. I do survive one close combat, even with my IV spread, from a Zacian. But as you're gonna see here, this knowledge actually really comes in clutch, as we will now be able to shield up the move against them, and I can still go for the superpower. Superpower single resisted, the opponent is double debuffed. And as you're gonna see here, this is going to be barely not enough, but with the Dragon Breath damage it is enough. But it's still not over, because now we are debuffed in our defense and in our attack, so the opponent can go for Pressure's Blade. They might be able to two-shot me, but doesn't matter. It does not. We can go for a Dragon Claw, win this game, and we can move on to the next one. Next opponent is coming through here. We're going to have a Dialga lead, which is again kind of annoying. What I said before already as well, like basically this other one was like one of the earlier ones. I always go up to Superpower and then throw the Dragon Claw. Basically everyone is shielding. Like I have not seen a single person has not been shielding. He decided to stay in for a little bit because I should be able to reach another charge move before I go down. And this would be great for me, as a Superpower would be able to knock them out, but they decide to catch this move on a Landorus. And this is basically game over, because like, what am I gonna do now? Like, my elite is my Landorus counter. Basically, Dialga is supposed to bait out a Landorus. It depends now if we can take a move with our Empoleon from the Landorus. Since Storm is coming in, we can actually take one, and so we can go for a charge move. So maybe there is still some play that we can do here, but it's going to be somewhat of a combo play. So what I mean with this, the opponent gets a ton of energy now. I kind of have to go into my Dialga, basically shield up one charge move from them, have to get some Dragon Breath damage in here, try to get even more Dragon Breath damage in here, and then try to catch the next move onto my Dragonite in the back. And as you can see here, the switcher is not coming up and the opponent swaps out. And now, there is something that really bothers me, which is really sad for me, because I can knock them out here and I decide to swap out immediately, because I know they have a move slot, right? Like, they're gonna just swap in and go for the move, right? They decide not to. And here's the thing that really bothers me. Because if I stayed in with my Dialga, just didn't do anything, just stayed in, go for the, what's called the Roar of Time, I would have knocked out the opponent's Kyogre even with the attack drop. And then I still had my Dragonite in the back, which would have been able to knock out the opponent's Landorus, because Landorus has to go straight for a charge move against the Dialga. And this is literally so sad, because if I just didn't swap out there, just blindly trying to catch the move, I would have won this game. And so sadly we're going to lose this one. Good game there, but that kind of annoyed me quite a bit. This is a different Dialga here. This is just the normal Dialga, which is totally okay for us, because we can do the exact same here as before. We're just going to go for a Dragon Claw. Going for a Dragon Claw also allows him to go for another Superpower later on, otherwise he's not going to be able to reach his Superpower. But I decided to swap out into my own Dialga. I can shield the move here, I don't really care too much. It is going to be that Iron Head as well, and we will see that they're going to stay in here for a little bit, allowing me to go ahead and go for one Iron Head here. This Iron Head is going to hopefully be able to get them into range where I can knock them out afterwards. Let's see, can they go for a charge move? They can still go for a charge move. I have to hope that this is also just an Iron Head, and it is. So we still have a chance here in this game. Let's see what's coming in. It's going to be a Mewtwo. This is going to be okay for us. I can let this move go through. I was hoping that I still survive a Side Strike. Turns out I don't, and that's going to be a little bit of a tough one here, but I can still go into my Dragonite. The opponent goes and decides to go ahead and go for another Side Strike here, as I can try to overfarm by quite a bit, because it's going to be great for us, perfectly overfarming here with our Dragonite, allowing us to get some nice energy, and the opponent lets this move go through. Turns out they're going to have in the back now, we're going to see it very soon, the Kyogre, which is actually great for me, because I can still reach 2 charge moves here. And as long as the opponent's Kyogre is not running Thunder, we completely hardwall the charge move plus fast move set from them with our Empoleon. They hardwall us as well, but we're still gonna put them insanely low here, because they get another Dragon Claw off. And so I think you should be able to win this game. As long as this is not Thunder, we should be totally fine. And it's Thunder. Literally, Origin Pulse will have been fine, anything else will have been fine. We're gonna see it here as well, because they can still hit the Hydro Cannon. We would have been most likely able to farm down, but it is what it is. Still a good game, still a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you later for a little bit more of a, degenerate team. See you then, bye bye.